I've noticed late on against Ross County, there's a break in play immediately. 3 or 4 of your backroom staff were right in the line, encouraging, giving direction to the players. That shows a lot of trust that you've got in the backroom staff, especially such a short time to play, working with the players. Is that a technique you've developed yourself, or is it something you've seen applied elsewhere where you're allowing such an influence from the backroom staff?
The way we set up the staff here is that everyone looks after certain units. So in terms of the daily plan for each player and where they're going in the direction of their career. So in each, say for the defenders, Adam Devine's at a different stage of his career than Connor Goldson. So they need certain handling. So Neil Banfield takes care of the defenders as a unit. Obviously Colin the goalkeepers. Damien the midfielders, and I take control of the forward players. It's exactly the same as how we set up the staff last time I was here. So that means that the staff will have individual conversations with them players over breakfast, lunch or dinner. We're here a lot. You know, there's a lot of meal times here in the week, and they'll either have group workshops in terms of the whole back four, or they'll do individual stuff. It's my job to sit above that and allow these people to almost get around and water the grass, if you like. So they've got my full trust. It's important if they see things that in the right way, they give that information to the players, but they've got my full trust. And I think it's nice to have new eyes around me in the football club, because obviously I come back with a lot of preconceived opinions and thoughts and feelings from my previous time here. It's very handy to have the experience of Neil, Damien and Harry and Jack around me that are new. So maybe I have to explain how tough it is to go to Batodri, and they can go there and be a little bit freer in their thoughts, a little bit different to myself.
Just on this, Stephen Davis, how big a blow is that he's out for the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's a huge blow. I've been devastated ever since it happened. Obviously we fought straight away. It didn't look like a good one, but obviously we need to let the swelling go down, him to go and have a scan, and then obviously let Stephen process the results of that scan. So I believe in early January we'll go and have it operated on, and then we'll sit and talk. The Christmas period's a good time for reflection, I think, for Stephen and his family. Us as a club, we have a plan for Stephen anyway. Moving forward, he's someone we always wanted to have in and around the club, both as a player and then helping him in his second career if he chose to go down that route. That was something that was already in discussion from the very first meeting I had with the club, because I knew when I was here before that Stephen had a lovely way of detaching himself from the game and seeing it as someone overlooking the game rather than a player that can only see the game from his own eyes. So I was very interested to see where Stephen wanted to go later in life. Having come in and seen him in the Bayer Leverkusen game in the second half of the Hibs game, I thought Stephen hadn't changed in the whole year that I'd been away. I still thought he was as sharp as ever and he was playing at the same level. So therefore that conversation I was holding in my back pocket. So it's something that only Stephen Davis will make the decision on his future. He's got to have the operation and he's got to see exactly what the surgeon and everybody says and what he feels around it, and then he'll decide what he wants to do next. But knowing Stephen, I'd think that he'd probably want to continue to play, because I think he still can play.
You've got a lot of leaders at the club, Captain James Tavernier, Alan McGregor, Connor Goldson, experienced players, but is that another blow as well, that others maybe have to step up at times, and certainly in the position where he played, being a leader in the middle of the park?
He just gives us something different. He's very assured, he's very calm. I don't think we can replace Stephen Davis and what he gives us. We'll replace it in different ways, but we won't replace it the same. It's a huge loss for me personally, because it's a player, as I said, that I really trust in terms of what he's seeing and feeling on the pitch. We lived that for a long time previously, where he was someone that I spoke to regularly. So it's a real disappointment in a moment where we've got other injuries as well. It's not ideal, but if we focus on Stephen, I'm devastated for him, because to play the amount of international games he has, it means he's been fit consistently for the last 20 years and gone on every single international camp. To play the number of games he's played. So he's not really had anything like this before. Obviously the news come very sharp just upon Christmas. So we've sort of agreed that Stephen will take his time with his family, enjoy Christmas, and then obviously we'll have the operation early January, and we'll see from there what the actual timing is in terms of a return. But the plan is right now to have that operation with a view to returning.
What about returns for any other of those out injured in terms of this game against Motherwell?
Well, Ruth and Kollac have trained, so then it's just up to me whether I select them in the squad or not. It's fair to say they've obviously not 100% fit because they've been out for, in Kamar's case, a lot longer than Antonio, but they're both fit. They've trained the last 2 days, which is pleasing, and they both train well. It's just whether I feel that I need them now or I can top them up before we've got a big January, a huge January. So it's important I have everyone back that can for that. I believe John Suter's not a million miles away as well, so we'll see John Suter by the back end of January, which is great news. He's doing great guns. He's out on the grass now, not training with the team yet, but he's in a good place, so I'm delighted with that.
What about Alan McGregor?
Oh yeah, Alan's back, he's fine. Just had the snuffles, like 1 or 2 last week. We've had a few staff and a few players off with it, so Alan's back in training fine.
Is Borna Barisic back now and fully available?
Yeah, Borna's trained the last 2 days as well. He arrived back yesterday in time for training. He's trained today. He looks in a great place, to be honest. Look, obviously he's just had a really big experience again, getting to another semi-final with Croatia, playing in his first World Cup, so he come back in a real positive place. And so we're slowly but surely getting back somewhere to where we want to be in terms of having players available. It's the biggest group of players that I've had since I've come back in terms of training.
Going back to Stephen, Michael, if he does want to continue playing, will it be here? Will there be another contract as a player here?
I think all those things will be discussed. In terms of me, he was going to be a really key player between now and the end of the season. So I'm gutted that we've lost him. I'm gutted for Stephen more than I am for myself and the football club, because he obviously, at the age he's at, will have a decision to make. I think that's fair to say, but it's Stephen's decision to make. My view on it is that, having seen him in the 2-3 weeks I was back, I think he still had 18 months at least left at the level. But certainly now with 5 subs, you don't need people to play 90 minutes anymore. I think with 5 subs now, you're going to see players playing a bit later. And the way Stephen looks after himself, I always said he had 27-year-old legs, and I'm not going to back down on that at the moment. Let's see. I think the most important person on this is Stephen. So until he talks, I think we will just support him through having the operation and seeing where it takes us.
Does that mean you'll be looking for another midfielder in January?
We might have been looking anyway, to be honest. It's an area that we're looking to strengthen everywhere, if I'm honest. But in midfield, there is a little bit of uncertainty. I think it's fair to say when you write the midfielders down at Rangers at the minute. We have a couple of loan players in James Sands and Malik. We have 2 or 3 that are out of contract at the end of the season, and their decision on their futures has not been decided yet in terms of Steve and Scott and Ryan as well. Glenn seems to get linked with a new club every day as well. So I think midfield is an area that we'll look to strengthen moving forward, yeah.
3 wins out of 3 as a manager. Do you sense any sort of momentum building by the week?
Listen, I'm seeing more in training than I've seen in the games. I think sometimes in the games the players realise the 3 points are important. I thought last week was a difficult week. Goldson did fantastic to get through the 2 games. Ben Davies come back in. There were 2 long away trips on top of Christmas. I was just as delighted to get out of Dingwall with the 3 points. It wasn't a classic, was it? But we got out. We should have probably been a little bit more comfortable late on, taking another chance, and then everyone's sort of feeling about the game's different. But the most important thing is 3 points. That will be the same tomorrow. I'm seeing things in training I'm pleased with. Today was the best we've trained since I've come back, so hopefully that's a sign for the coming games.
You made that comment about the captain having to look over his shoulder, maybe, with regards to Adam Devine. Was that to give the youngster a boost? Because many people may see the captain as being under-uppable.
No, what I would say is that Adam's not a left back. He's played left back, and that's you always say to a young player, you don't know where you're going to break through. You need to be ready. You need to round yourself off. What I would say is he's done himself, the academy, but mainly himself, proud the last 14 days, playing in the 3 games plus the game with Leverkusen. I think he's been outstanding. But his natural position is right back. He's shown now that he can do a job for us at left back if required. And Tabs fought off another young, very good fullback in the past. I don't know if he fought him off or he flew him out the door. It was one or the other. But no, look, Adam's a player here for the future. It's clear that when you go into European competition, you need Scottish players in your squad. We're a big Scottish club. We should have players coming out of our academy. We should be a club that's able to feed players into our squad. And I think he's been the most pleasing thing since I've come back, because there's been an element of surprise. When I left, he was just a young boy, and I've seen in the last couple of weeks that he's rapidly becoming more than that now. He's becoming a man.
Michael, you mentioned Ruth and Cholak are back training, Barisic is back from the World Cup, McGregor back from being ill. Obviously you had Connor Goldson return last week. How pleasing is that as a manager to begin to have different options again in your training and team selection, having come into a squad that was quite decimated by injuries?
Yeah, you've got to be careful now, because when you go in against Hibs and you haven't got no centre halves and you're a little bit like, well, this is what we got, we'll go with it. You've got to be careful now when you get everyone back that you think everything's going to be perfect and the results are going to be perfect. It never quite works out like that. I think for me it's obviously just nice to have something in training that looks more like what I think Rangers should look like, and we can train and practice. Between the games, Connor and Ben have had to really recover, because obviously they have been out for a number of weeks, the pair of them, but they look fine at the moment. And yeah, as the players slowly but surely as they come back, we'll definitely be stronger for it, because they'll have stronger competition, and I think we'll have a stronger 11 on the park as well. So that can only help us for sure.
Just one from me, Michael. You say Alan McGregor's back at the game tomorrow. Do you have a decision to the 18 goals? Obviously, John McLaughlin did well for you. Whenever it was, what can do the day before up at Denmark?
Well, yeah, of course you've got a decision to make out of the two of them. Robbie's trained ever so well and all. He's chasing them down. It's a difficult one. Alan was due to get a rest for that game for John anyway. It was in my plan with the two travels, and just wanting to give John a bit of oxygen. And John did himself a lot of good in that game. Probably exercised a few of the skeletons from earlier in the season. Last time he played, he made a mistake. I thought he made a fantastic save, and that was a proper John McLaughlin performance really from when I was here previously. You know, the big moment, he does well. His distribution, he coming to claim crosses is very good. He's very calm head, and he kept another clean sheet. And I reckon if you looked at his gains per clean sheet, it must be outstanding.
Michael, after 3 hard-fought victories by just 1 goal, how much are you looking for a more comprehensive scoreline and performance in this match against Motherwell?
Yeah, if you could guarantee it, I would take it, but I just want the 3 points at the moment. I think I would like to see us have some more control, just at certain times of the game, be a little bit stronger in our positioning, a bit stronger in the duels over the pitch. And I think the things in the final third will click given time. You know, we have been missing Antonio, Kamar, Yanis and Tom Lawrence, and some of them players we've been missing for a long time, and the club's invested a lot in those 4 players, and they're really key to us in the final third. I'd like to see a time where I've got a problem leaving one of them out or putting them 4 players into the team, and I think it'll make a difference. So for me, it would be nice, but I think the most important thing, as we all know, is just to keep winning, and tomorrow's a big opportunity for us. I think Motherwell will make it difficult. They had a rough second half of their game the other day against Kilmarnock, and I'm sure they'll be coming here with trying to make up for that, because they probably lost 2 points they thought they had against Kilmarnock.
Just one for me. What have you made of Motherwell this season? Obviously, like you say, a difficult few weeks for them, but do you think better than the league table suggests?
I haven't seen a great deal, only since I've obviously come back in and been preparing for this game. But obviously they've got a good squad. They had some changes, didn't they, with Stephen now taking over. They seem stable. And I know of late the results have not been fantastic, but then, you know, sometimes the wins in the post or the good results in the post. I'm sure they thought that was the case in the game with Kilmarnock, and they'll be bitterly disappointed with the way that game panned out, because they obviously had a big advantage in that game, leading 2-0. So no, I think the big lad up the front does well from Van Veen, and when he's on form, they look a completely different team.